All right, welcome back to Off the Tap. This week is episode 97, and we're doing Coolin' the Gang from Blue Owl Brewing.
Our second Bob on the podcast, go back and listen to that one, us discovering that Blue Owl Brewing is in fact Bob, and it was not Bob's special porter, like a gentleman that brewed in the warehouse. Welcome back to week 97. Feels like, we were with you guys just last week. Turns out
we were
not so much.
Yeah, no. This, before we get into that, this is a sour session beer with Earl Grey tea, which I have no idea what Earl Grey tea is. Coming in, dude, I don't know, man. Coming in with an ABV of only 3.2. That's what it says online here. And 7 IBUs. 7 IBUs.
7 IBUs. This is going to be like watery tea lemon beer.
Yeah. I'm interested. Yeah. I'm interested.
So a few other things to point out. Sour mashed. Obviously, Bob is based out of Austin, Texas. I have no idea. I don't get Cool in the Gang vibes at all from this can. Not even fucking remotely close.
I'm gonna sound very. You're probably gonna gasp a little bit here, but I know.
Listen,
Cool in the Gang.
Don't listen.
I know it.
You do.
I know. Okay. I know it, but I'm gonna need you to fill me in a little bit,
bro. It's like it's like a not disco, but like a 70s all black male not super group, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. I knew that I knew of it vaguely. I just didn't know much. You know what I'm saying? I don't.
Times come on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Definitely not the right vibes for sure. Maybe the taste of it will be. I don't know.
So it's a little bit of a unicorn, and I'm confused quite a bit. So first off, I didn't pay attention. I knew that it had the Earl Grey tea in it, but I didn't know that it was a sour session beer. Also on the side it says brisk, a play on the tea, I assume. Lemony, also as well, and then Arnold Palmer. So I'm getting like. Is it a beer? Because I don't, an Arnold Palmer, obviously, you can take a twisted tea and mix in a little bit of a limonada or something like that, right?
Right, yeah.
But I'm getting, I don't want it to be an Arnold Palmer that's beery. And that's what the can's telling me. I'm gonna crack it first.
I mean, we're gonna go into it here. I don't know if this is on the can or not, but it's on their website. It says, "Cool in the Gang has quickly become an Austin fan favorite. The sessionable sour is the perfect balance of tart, lemon, and tea. Bro. Great for a day on the mini golf course or after you finish the weekend yard work."
All right, so here's the deal. I cracked it and it foamed a little bit, and so I pulled a little bit of I don't know if you saw that, but I pulled a little bit of foam out of the can. So I haven't actually drank it yet, but you know what it tastes like, and it could not be more fucking accurate, and this is not good.
Oh God.
Okay? I'm pretty sure most folks have eaten at a Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah.
Yeah, it tastes like the wet wipes.
Okay.
You know the wet wipes that you use afterwards? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Oh yeah, the lemon scented.
Yes, it tastes exactly. It tastes, at least the finger rubbed it. The foam did. You know what I'm saying? So I don't. So real quick, I haven't gotten it yet. She's a little murky. Okay.
Yeah.
Not bad. I mean, it's pretty. It's actually pretty. Hold on. Here we go.
I mean, yeah. I'm gonna give it a go as well.
Oh.
Yeah. Not a great experience. Oh God.
Fuck, dude. Hold on. Let me back up a second.
Oh my God.
Should I put it in a different cup, maybe?
Do you think the cup matters?
Oh, fuck, dude.
Oh, dude, don't. Oh.
Hold on.
Oh, no. Not right off the rip, bro. Come on.
Jesus Christ, dude. Do you think it's bad? Like, has it gone bad?
I
How
mean,
bad is yours?
I'm not having a bad experience right now.
Oh, fuck me, dude. I don't even know. Ooh.
We got ours
Okay,
from the
there's a
same six pack. Did yours
yeah,
get
dude.
hot or
There's
something?
I don't think
Dude,
I don't think so, dude, but I'm
I
gonna
mean,
give her another shot.
don't hurt yourself here, dude.
Oh, Jesus, I just gotta focus. Like it's what I'm gonna go back to what I originally said. It does not, in fact, taste like at all the wet wipes at Buffalo Wild Wings. It is by far way worse than what that could possibly be.
Oh my God, I'm not having that experience at all. You're, dude, yours must have gone bad somehow.
Oh, fuck, should I crack it? Should I
Oh,
crack it?
oh
Should
my
I
God.
crack another? Fuck, dude.
Oh, oh my gosh.
Mm. Should I crack another can or something?
Maybe, dude. I don't know. That's weird. I mean, we never experienced. Obviously, we get our beers from the same six pack, so I don't understand how,
I'm gonna-
unless yours got hot from,
It
the
couldn't
hur
have, dude. There's no way.
the hurricane that we just went through.
Impossible. I generated.
I don't know, man. I mean, mine tastes like a sour mixed with. It tastes like an Arnold Palmer, but a sour beer instead of lemonade.
Well, no, bro. Okay, listen. For
Oh
the
my
sake of
God.
conversation, we're gonna go through.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-mm. Damn. All right. Let's just power through for the sake of conversation. I've never been in this predicament before.
No, this
Okay.
is this is a very odd predicament that we've got on this episode now.
All right. So, all right, bro. Let's just keep
I
going.
I'm very okay. Obviously,
Describe.
very clearly don't crack your third one
Okay.
because I want to experience this when I visit you next.
All right. Describe to me what you got going on. Let's lay it down
Okay.
here.
Let me try to salvage this in your brain a little bit
Fuck, dude. Now, I'm gonna
because
be honest with you. Something had to have. There's no. I mean, maybe, but there's no way that it's intended to taste. I hope it's not
no, there's
intended
no
to taste like
this
this.
tastes like it tastes like a sour beer, like a remember the lemon tart that we did not too long ago?
Yeah, I understand. Like I that
No,
it
I
starts that.
but I'm just saying like this is what I'm getting, right? It's like it's lemony, clearly, right? There's some
Mhm.
sours that aren't lemony, but it's this one's lemony.
Yeah.
And it's just it tastes like a normal sour beer to me, and then it kind of finishes and the aftertaste is where I get more of like a tea flavor. It's not
Okay.
super strong right up front.
So I feel you on that. I get some of that too, but there's like a uh like a metallic tuna can
Oh,
vibe that's
n-
in between.
no,
Like a
not for me.
like a when you ever smelled like lunch meat when it's bad?
Yes, I'm not getting that at all, dude.
Like that, and it's in between the two. Like it starts lemony and you're like, oh, that's okay, and then it's like bad lunch meat and then tea and you're like, fuck me. Also, I will say this though, very quickly put to rest, it's not anywhere even close to a fucking Arnold Palmer, so we're fine there. I don't get Arnold
No,
Palmer vibes at all.
no,
Not at all. Okay.
no.
All right.
It's not. There's not enough
It's
tea in it for me for like Arnold.
it's
Obviously, it's a sour beer instead of lemonade.
yeah.
So
The can saying lemony, Arnold Palmer, and brisk. I think they
mm,
misspelled barf, but same difference. I they're delivering
I'm
on
just
at least two of them.
I'm just extremely confused. This is a setting.
Bro,
This is like the first time I think where we've done an episode where I've been like, man, we really need to be in person. You know, like if we were doing it in
oh,
the same room, because I just feel like something had to happen because mine is not even remotely
Dude,
making me feel like I need to gag.
here's the thing that's trippy though, is like normally when something's bad,
It smells bad.
yeah, and when I smell it, I just get Buffalo Wild Wings wet wipe.
Yeah.
But when it goes in my mouth, it's like, here we go.
Well, don't keep trying it, brother. I don't
No,
understand.
fuck, dude. I was so close. I thought, all right, I'm
I don't
done.
understand.
I'm done.
Oh God. All right.
I'm gonna,
So anyways, we've touched
bro.
on it. We've touched on it a little bit here to start, but yeah, clearly we were affected by a hurricane last week. That's why there was no episode last week. We did not have power to record. Actually, we both had power because of our generators, but
Yeah,
you know,
no
other
internet
things.
though.
Well, I had internet, but there was just a lot of other things going on. It was hot still, even though we had power. It was just hot. Didn't really want to do a lot of things. Just kind of wanted to try to save as much energy as possible. But yeah, man, we get for a lot of people, uh, you know, like my girlfriend, it was her first experience living through a hurricane. Okay,
Oh, really?
she's because yeah, so she's from not from around here, so she's never experienced a hurricane like that before. And so it was just like a big shot. And trying to explain to someone who's never dealt with it that, like, this particular hurricane was pretty minimal, and what we still
Yeah,
had over like how many millions of people out of power for days and days and days. I mean, our sister didn't get it back until yesterday, or 2 days ago.
yeah. There's still. I mean, I think as of this morning, so it happened. It hit Monday morning, right? And
Last week.
last Monday morning, and I think there were as of this morning there were still 40,000 people. Which to see that number, like other people are gonna be like, oh my god, but 40,000 in the grand scheme of things is like nothing compared to what it was.
What it was, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean it's still a week and a half later, which is a problem.
Yeah, freaking
But
10, 11 days.
it was yeah, so what I actually kept I was having to explain to a lot of people. I went back to a work conference over the week, well, starting Sunday and then through yesterday, but just trying to explain to everyone um like the worst. I know Centerpoint was doing, and I'm calling them out by name because Lord knows there's going to be a
Center
revolution in
pointless.
Texas, hopefully.
Center pointless.
Center Pointless. So you in Houston, you got to be someone, and now Center Pointless. Those are the two key.
Yeah.
So Um, but they on like, and I know they were doing it to try to like help and inform people. But like on Tuesday, I don't know if you saw the post that they put out, and it was like number of people. There were three categories of like importance, and it was like number of people out of power, like 2.9 million or whatever. And
Yeah.
then the next one was like number of stations and or transformers that were out, and it was like 8,600 or 9,600 or something like that. And it was like volume restored, which they should have excluded, okay, to not infuriate the masses, because the volume restored was like 216. And so literally I was like, oh, sweet. Okay. All right. Well, we're not getting power back for a fucking month. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, I find that to be crazy. The other thing was like, just constantly having to explain to people is that like the world, at least for smaller, well, I mean, I'm going to say every storm in Houston, right? But for smaller storms too, even like pretty devastating storms and even smaller storms, like it's weird that like the world and this might be for other natural disasters too. Like I've never been a part of a snowstorm. Well, I guess I've never been part of like a
Like a
legit
blizzard.
snowstorm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but it's so weird to me that like I guess people not from here, they just assume like everything stops.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. Like it's not like we're just like, all right, well, you know, the world's gonna stop and we're just gonna hang out. Like, yeah, obviously you're stuck in most cases unless you can get to work, or
Right.
if you like I work remote, obviously, so that was an issue. But things don't really stop. Like, there's still some things working. Like, you have to give everything a shot. The first thing everybody does is, they just wait the storm out, and then afterwards they're like, all right, first there's the bozos. They're like, let's drive around and see what's damaged, and like,
Yeah.
thank you, but also don't, because that's not good.
Yeah.
Second is the folks that need gas. We'll get into the generator situation in a minute, but when folks that need gas, right? So they go to get gas, but like, you have to constantly try. Like, you're constantly like, and I know this sounds stupid to people that like haven't been involved in like a, a hurricane or like a natural disaster, but like by like day 3 or 4, you're like, I just want to order a pizza and I want that to be normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and sometimes you can and sometimes you can't, and it's a weird feeling, both internally to like emotionally and mentally to digest, that like it's okay for me to get a pizza, but like also I can't get like groceries and the people next door don't have power. Like, it's a weird thing in your mind, right? But it's
Right.
just because things come back up and they start functioning at different times.
Yeah, it was really weird. So we actually did go and get pizza one of the days, and it was really weird because uh everything's out, right? Like everything's down. No one has internet, so like you can't order online or anything like that.
No.
And we're talking also real quick, we're talking the most first world problems of all time. This
No, a
we're
thousand
sitting here
percent.
we're sitting here complaining. I'm not really complaining. This is just an interesting story, but like
Yeah.
I'm saying first world problems because we go up to the pizza place that's open there because they have a generator, so they're
Yeah.
open. No one else in the strip center is, so they're open, and we walk in. They're
Oh,
like,
no,
we
but real quickly, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I think people think that
like,
like, because there's no power, like the whole world just shuts down. It's like, no, some people are like, you guys want donuts? Well, I'm gonna be running it on a generator. You're
yeah,
gonna have to pay with cash, but bring it on.
yeah,
And you don't. And the thing is, because also, which we should talk about in a minute, because our phone systems, which is weird, also get shitty. You can't even call, like most of the places around here, I couldn't even call up there if I was going to try it. Or you would
no,
try to call for like 30 minutes and it wouldn't work. And you were like, oh, they must be closed. But then when you run into town to get gas,
there's
you
just a
drive
line
by
of
and they're,
people.
well, and they're open,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it was interesting. So because we had internet, we looked, on our phone, and it said
Oh,
they were
yeah.
open. It said they were open, but so we went up there. We ordered. Obviously, we couldn't call to put in an order, right? So we went up there. We ordered. Walked in, and they were like, "All we have is small and medium. We have no large." And I was like, "I don't care. That's fine.
Yeah.
We just want to get whatever we can get, right?" So we order, and then I'm sitting there waiting, and this lady comes in, and she's like, "Hey, my name's blah blah blah. I put in an order online." And they kind of look at her, and they're like, well, our system is down, so I don't know how you even did that, first of all. Dude, they drove 35 minutes to come get this pizza. And I'm just
Well,
like, and they had ordered larges, and they don't have large and stuff. And like I could see in this lady's face that she wanted to be like, "Oh my god, I'm so annoyed," but then she was also like, "This is not their fault," you know? Like
yeah.
which is obviously very true. I mean, I would be annoyed too that it let me put it in online, right? But it's just funny that like, yeah, these people drove 35 minutes because they were able to solve their first world problem of nothing around them being, open.
Open.
And then they got there
Yeah.
and their stuff wasn't ready, so they had to wait anyways. But God forbid we have to wait a little bit.
It's just weird. Yeah, it's just such a weird dynamic of like things do very quickly divert, but I don't want to say entirely, obviously, right? Because some of us have internet, some of us have cell phone service, and some of us have power and all that.
what,
But it's just crazy. What?
sorry, real quick. What really gets me about any kind of storm like that rolls through for me, I have T-Mobile. Everyone can laugh if they want. Everybody can rejoice if they want. I don't care. Uh, I have no loyalty to anyone. I just want to pay the least amount of money that I can pay. So, anyways, I have service on my phone and my iPad. Okay, and there was stretches in that storm where I'm getting 5G and I'm like streaming live events on my iPad and watching for like 15 minutes and then just nothing for like 6 hours. And then it'll come back again for like 30 minutes and then nothing for the rest of the night. And in my dumb American privileged brain, I'm like I can't understand why sometimes it's so good and sometimes it's not. Because it's not like I was trying to do it at like peak hours either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's
This was like at 9 a.m. and I would have no service and then come like 5:30 p.m. dinner time I would have it for like 30 minutes. It made no sense.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously, traffic does cause issues, right? I don't want to be ignorant
I
in
would
making that
I would
assumption.
assume it
Okay.
does.
Okay. So yeah, you're right. Like, but for us, maybe it's because everybody was trying like consistently. We're in a little more populated of an area, but I'm gonna have a different service provider. But like even we didn't even have so we didn't have internet obviously, but even our service, like I would have two or three bars,
And just
but I would
nothing.
get it was no, but no connectivity at all. Like
Yeah.
there was times where I would when you were driving, like I don't know, it was better when you were driving depending on where you were at, but like I could literally be in my vehicle at the front of the neighborhood and have 5 bars, but nothing would get through.
It made
Nothing.
no sense at all. I'll tell you what though. We powered that generator up and our Wi-Fi kicked up immediately. Shout out Tackus Fiber Internet. I was getting I
Oh,
was getting
plug.
I was getting a gig up and a gig down during the in the middle of a freaking hurricane. So we
That's
were
because there were like
golden.
6 other people over there running shit.
Bro, everyone over here's got Tackus now. That's that
Yeah, I
fiber
know, but
optic.
not everybody was cranked up. You think everybody was generating out there?
That's true. I'm just saying I
Oh,
was getting the speeds that I usually get. There was
oh, that's
no
nice.
there was no mess up there.
We got well. What was even more disheartening was like we got a notification like letting us know like, hey, internet's out, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, like not a problem because I don't have power. And then like 2 days later, I think is when I got an again, right? If I rode into town, I would get an email, and the email would be like, "Hey, your internet's back up," and I was like, "Oh, sweet." That doesn't do me really any good because I wasn't running my router with
The
my
generator.
generator.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just kept necessities on it. Now we kept the house cool. Like that's another thing I try to explain to people. Like they see how hot, and it's not great. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not great. But we left the you know I didn't run the router. I didn't run certain because I don't have a system that'll run all of my house.
Yeah.
So but we focus on the most important things, right? So immediately like
Refrigerator.
30 minutes late, yeah, 30 minutes later, fridges and freezers are
Yeah.
cranked up. And then once it started, the other thing people forget about a hurricane too is like even for us in July, it, it's the coolest right during the storm and right after the storm. It's the coolest that it's going to be ever
Yes. Yeah.
because it's overcast and all the rain. Again, it's not. Eventually, the next day is miserable because of all the heat and moisture. But
Hmm.
anyways, so refrigerators and freezers get up on going first, and then obviously we prepared, so we had fuel and we had everything was ready, everything was set up. Um, but then I got fans and a couple little AC like window AC units working downstairs. And I'll be honest with you, man, even after running them for 4 days, whenever it was time to start up the ACs, the because the power came back on, the thermostats in my house were only 76 degrees.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't hot really. Like we got like it would
It's
get hot out during the day, but
yeah. It just gets stale. I think like that's a little like well, me personally, I like stale because I don't like a lot of wind. Like for my body, if like there's wind going against me, I'm
hey,
like I'm
real,
cold.
real quick, I'm gonna have to be honest. Like when you said that I like stale, I was like, this is why he's able to stomach the
I
Blue
knew
Owl
you were gonna
cooling
say
again.
that. I knew you were gonna say it.
Immediately, I was like, fucking A. That's why
No,
his palate is conditioned.
I
But go
like
ahead.
I like stale air, man. Stale air. Not all the time, but a lot of times. And like 76 is a little hot for stale air, but like
Hmm.
that's why like you say it's 76, people are like, "Oh, that's not bad," but there's nothing going on also.
Yeah, but
So,
but see, we did. So I had the window unit set up, but I had big fans put in front of them.
yeah. Okay.
And so it was just blasting it throughout the house, which again, I know that that doesn't fulfill your stale air, but it was like cool, non-stale air because of circulation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a little air circulation going on. The other thing that like a lot of people I feel like that don't deal with these kind of like natural disaster things, right? Or like you hear a hurricane hit and people are like, "Oh, well that's crap." Or like there are a lot of trees down and stuff and you're like, "Yeah, the trees to me are never like the big thing, right?" I feel like some
For
trees are
this
going
one,
to
it was.
Yeah, no, I know, but like for trees are never like the big thing for me. It's always the people that go into like super panic mode, and like they're the
Oh
ones that
yeah,
cause a lot more problems than the natural problems. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like a tree will fall down and knock power out or whatever, and like yeah, you need to go get gas for your generators and stuff, but we don't need to be going and buying 50 gallons of gas. You know, that shit, you're being excessive. And like all I mean it's just a lot, man. Like if everybody would just get the amount they need for, a couple days instead of powering up for they're these people, like some people are like, "Oh, power's going to be gone for a month. I got to get enough gas to get to work whenever their power comes back on." I'm like, "Dude, no,
Yeah.
first of all, if you're driving that far to work, there's going to be gas over by work, brother. You need to calm
Yeah.
down." You know what I mean? Um, but I mean, our mom was one of them, dude. She was freaking out about gas. And I think I texted you and I asked you about your gas situation over
Oh
by you
yeah.
because she was just
Yeah,
in
because
full panic mode. And then we went out to get gas and we found a gas station with no line on it. We pulled right up to a pump and filled up. And I was like, it's just not that. It's not. We don't need to
so
panic.
was she worried about gas? Like, so y'all were gonna come over here and get it? Is that what the thing was?
No, because I was thinking in my brain, I was thinking, let's turn the generator off and go because this is when y'all got power back.
Oh,
And I
okay,
was like,
gotcha.
let's just go hang out for a little bit. It's Wednesday anyways. That's what we're going to do.
Oh, and she was worried
And we
about
could
gas
fill
for the
up,
van to get back and forth.
yeah, or get
Okay.
stranded somewhere. And I was like, well, we could just see if they got gas over there and see, but
It did get, and the reason ours got spotty is because like first off, the ones close by here, like right by the house, the first one, first off, not all of them came back at once, and they're right across the street from each other.
yeah,
Again, back
very
to
odd.
I made earlier about how weird, but I mean it's just like that. And so one came up, and when I went the first time to get gas, it was like maybe Tuesday morning, and I didn't really need, like, which again, maybe I was part of the problem. I only was like, hey, I'm gonna run uptown, I'm gonna see what's open, I'm gonna see if I can see from here to the house, if I can see anything specifically that could be an indicator of why our power is out, so that I know if that's repaired, the period of time till we
Mm,
get replenished, which by the way didn't work in this storm for a number of
no,
reasons. But anyway, I drove up there,
yeah,
and I was like, I'll just take my can with me, and if it's not busy, I'll get and it was a little can. I'll get like the 2 gallons or whatever,
right.
and then I'll come home. And when I went to do that, there was zero line. I just grabbed my 2 gallon. I mean, like nobody was there, and it wasn't like because there's a couple of phases of gas. This wasn't
Oh
to where you
yeah,
have to go at like 4 a.m. for there to be only a small line to be there. You know what I mean?
yeah,
This was like day one or day two, I guess technically. No line or whatever, and got my gas, came home. And then I guess, I burned through a good bit. And then like Wednesday, we had to go a little further out to get
yeah,
it. And there was a big ass line when we got there, but it's because only one gas station was still open here. And here's the crazy thing: on Wednesday, not our stuff, but the rest of the power came on up up there. You know what I mean? Like up in the morning, and all of the gas stations came up and lines got ridiculous immediately, and they were all three of them were out of gas by like into the middle of the day.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So there was only one left anyway.
Yeah, there was a gas station by us that had gas pretty much throughout. And I think it's because it was a Love's. So they're like a trucker gas station,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So I think they just carry a plethora of gas regardless.
Yeah.
So they had a lot and dude, there was people coming from like an hour away to get gas at this place and I'm like, yo, there has got to be somewhere closer. that had like that's
I
ridiculous, guys.
Well, the problem is, and they don't let you do it like they used to, but the problem is that if they don't have power, they can't pump.
Yeah.
And so, but I remember this was years ago. This might have been Rita or, yeah, it might have been
Or
Rita, I
Ike.
think. No, because Ike, I wouldn't have lived in Texas during Ike, I don't think. Um,
Oh yeah, maybe
Maybe,
not.
but I think it was Rita. Like back then, you could take like we would go up to the gas station to the control panel with I mean the people that own the store obviously, but with a generator that generated 220 and
Yeah.
run the somebody would run their generator and run the pumps for a period of time
Yeah.
until people got gas and then you were like, "Ah, all right, now it's time for me to go." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't think that's a thing
I
anymore.
got my share. I'm out of here with my
Well, I
generator.
mean, yes, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think, we would always run it for a couple of people, but it's not like you'd be
Yeah.
up there all day with your generator running it. Um, but anyways, yeah, so it's just a trippy thing. And like a lot of folks around it, like I always like was picking people that would get the power, like areas that would get power back first, and they definitely didn't during the storm. And there's like a hurry up and wait. Like there's only certain things you can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's no reason to like I think it's because now people get so antsy. And it's probably been like this forever, but like especially now because we've always had entertainment at like the tip of our fingers, right? Or
Yeah.
not always, but for the past decade, let's say, we've had entertainment at the tip of our fingers where we can look at what people are doing, get in contact with people, watch things. And like when you lose that, people are like, I need to do something. I have to go and do something. And I'm like, guys, everybody just, let's just kick it, you know? If everybody would just
But
chill, we would all be okay, I promise.
you're right on that, but like what's very interesting to me too is the fact that people um like cleanup starts immediately. Like this is another thing that, obviously unless it's like a Katrina storm or unless it's a Harvey storm, which even in
Yeah.
Harvey it was pretty quick, but you know, people immediately are cleaning up. So like just because you don't have power doesn't mean you can't stack your fence by the road or start
Well,
burning all the limbs that
I
fell
mean,
out of the tree.
with because I thought about that too, because I was like, Harvey wasn't this bad for us, but that's because Harvey was just a bunch of rain. It wasn't so much
That
wind for
so
us.
So that's the thing that I was trying to explain to people too is I'm like, dude, a category 1 hurricane for us is essentially a thunderstorm, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
So we weren't prepared for this one because rain wasn't anything. Like it's rained more in thunderstorms over the
Oh,
past.
we didn't even get 5 inches of water.
Yes. So it was the wind that did it.
Yeah,
Whereas Harvey, the opposite is the longer term cleanup. I mean, obviously there's a ton of cleanup that's still going on with the volume of trees. I mean, it was a bunch. But
yeah,
um but ultimately the most of the issue with Harvey was the fact that water sat here. It just sat on top of us forever, right? Same with
yeah,
Katrina for the most part.
yeah.
Um but yeah, so this one it was just trees down. And in fact, the only thing I think the thing that kind of saved our ass a little bit was the fact that we had like a mini, I would say a category point 0.5, like 2 weeks ago, like 2 weeks before the storm.
Yeah,
You
where
know
it
what I
was just
mean? When
raining all
everybody
the time.
well, it was raining and everybody was knocked out of power and there were a ton of trees that came down and they were
Yeah,
getting those lines up. So like had all that fallen and all of this fallen, it would have been, we'd have been having the conversation about power coming back next Thursday.
yeah. It's just interesting always trying to explain it to people that, haven't lived through. Like this one in particular, you're trying to explain to people like, yeah, it's it's bad, right? Like power wise, but it's nothing like what Hurricane Ike was when that hit
No.
us, Me and my mom were talking about it, right? Because we're sitting here, nothing to do, and we were like, the wind for this one was I'm surprised so many trees did go down for this one because the wind was bad, but it was nothing like Ike. With Ike, trees were like tops of trees were touching the ground with wind.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about tiny trees. I'm talking about like 100-foot trees. The tops of them were touching the ground because of the wind and they weren't breaking. And so that's why this one was so confusing to me of like, why there was so many trees that broke and came down. And I think it might be because, or at least in my brain, this makes sense that we had such a dry year here, like beforehand, and I just feel like everything was like more dry on the inside. We did get a lot of rain like recently, but I don't
Oh,
know.
you're right.
It's just been
I
a
see what
dry
you're saying.
year.
I see what you're saying. Also, like that's another thing that's hard to explain to people is like what you're saying to me. Like I wasn't like shocked or impressed with what you're saying because I've seen it, but like to other people when you try to explain like no, they're like spaghetti noodles. It doesn't
Yeah.
make sense what they can physically, that they all they see is or all they hear is all the trees that went down, which obviously that makes sense. But I'm like, dude, the ones that didn't though also got real fucking squirrely.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
those are almost scarier. I would almost rather
It,
them fall over than just like just spin around like I'm freaking trying to get a
just
bite of spaghetti.
it just doesn't make
Like a
sense.
they're like a
They'll
free they are literally like a freaking wacky inflatable tube man. They're just
Yes,
flopping all
dude.
over the place.
And you look at it and you're like, that doesn't physically make sense.
It doesn't at all.
But yeah, the panic with the other thing that's a commodity, and I guess it's down here, which I guess yeah, there's hurricanes in the Northeast, but I would say like gas, obviously, if you have a generator or if you're trying to work, like all the tree guys and the roof guys immediately. I swear to God, there were roofers already on roofs in our neighborhood at like 7 p.m. on Monday.
Yeah, right when the storm ended.
It's fucking
There
scaling
there was
everything,
still
right?
some rain come like droplets coming down, but there was no wind left. They were just up there.
No, no power, nothing. But anyway, so roofers and depending on water volume, it's like, contractors and stuff, but roofers first and then guys that are cutting grass. Um,
Yeah.
and tree guys, right? Those are always first to engage. And obviously they need gas, but gas is a priority for everyone if you're running a remote generator. And then second is ice.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I guess if you don't have the capacity to run a generator that's fueling your refrigerators, but like also for all the damn crews that are out, they need ice
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's a million degrees. But ice is the first to go, gas, and then I would say beer is pretty popular. It's not the first thing to go, but I would say it's pretty popular. And then
It's
a lot of stores.
the beer. The funny thing is, beer probably goes before water does.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know.
Just because there's nothing to do. I mean, obviously, if you're out cleaning up, then you want to drink beer. But if you're just sitting at the house, you also want to drink
Just
beer. Or if
yeah.
you're watching somebody clean up, which is one of the favorite activities of post hurricane, and yeah, that's also good for beer drinking. But it's crazy too because like grocery stores come back up. Not HEB, shout out because they rock loaded because
Yeah.
they all have backup generators. But
They're ready to go.
every but some of the other stores, it's like you can go in, you can get fruits and veggies and like clothes and stuff like that, but no lunch meat, no super cold frozen items, nothing like that. So it's yeah.
Yeah. There are some good like one of my most vivid experiences from a hurricane was whenever Rita did hit us back in '05, I guess, and the eye of the storm comes over and you were talking about you can't get out there and clean quick enough. And I
Yeah.
remember the eye of the storm hit us and my dad told you and I get out there and start picking up those limbs because there's going to be
Pick
more
up as much as you
falling.
can.
Pick up
Yeah.
as much as you can and set them on the fire because you're gonna have to pick up more later. So we were just out there in the middle of a hurricane where the sun's shining, no wind, no rain, sun shining. We're out there picking up limbs and then more fall. So there's
Yeah.
that, right? There's the cleanup, which I like. It's kind of therapeutic a little bit, and then also, man, there's nothing like ripping that generator open on the first pull, and it
Dude,
just
one more
just right away.
one more thing before we get to generators on cleanup, but like the other thing too is during all the big ones, I don't know, obviously, like I said, for Ike, I mean, I remember doing cleanup for Ike, but I don't remember being here when the storm hit. I think I drove in afterwards, but also again, having a landscaping business and a tree company, like that was a lot of work for us.
Yeah,
And it wasn't like we were just cleaning up our stuff. Obviously, we had to clean up our
yeah,
stuff too, but like we always had like a very every day was full of like sun up to sundown. You could move trees, and there was
Oh,
always something
multiple
to be picked up.
trailers. Multiple trailers.
Yeah. So for us, it meant a ton and ton of work. And the other thing that compounded it was the fact that like it was also the time like you're not sleeping very well while
Mm.
you're, you know what I mean? In between, you're tired, you're not sleeping very well. I mean, obviously you're eating fine, you're trying to stay hydrated, but it's like the workload is heavy enough and it's very, very laborsome and it's under the harshest conditions of the year, temperature and humidity wise. And also it's the weakest volume of sleep that you're gonna get during the storm.
Yeah.
But it's a necessary evil. Like I just remember waking up at like off of like the floor at like 2 a.m. to like fill up a generator and then also wake back up at like 4:30 to start cutting down trees.
Yeah, to start driving to go cut down trees.
Yeah, or cut them back up, cut them up. So
Yeah.
it's just it's tough, but it's obviously a necessary evil. But yes, that original crank, the analogy that I'm gonna use because it's the only way to describe it, at least internally for me, the feeling is in Castaway when he's like fire, fire, I've created fire.
Yes.
Oh, I've got fire. Like that's super exciting. That's how I feel when I crank up a generator, except it's not fire because now we can make fire with a lighter. But when you crank that generator up, now you're making power. Power.
Yeah.
Power.
It's also
I've
like
got power.
I feel like for you now being a dad, right? It's like even more because like you go back in and your kids are like, "Oh yeah, we have lights." You
Yeah,
know what I mean? But
yeah.
even here it's like, when my dad ripped the generator on the first try, my mom, he came back in and my mom was like, "Oh, that's such a relief." And I'm just like that feeling. I do not or I mean I miss that feeling, of like starting up the generator and coming and being like, "Oh yeah, this is all on because of me." That's right. You know what I
Dude, I
mean?
will I will say and dude, and they're super handy to have. Like they're one of those
Yeah.
things where like we do use ours a good bit when we camp or when we hunt and stuff like that. So, we're used to them otherwise, but like
Yeah.
people are like, "Why would you own one?" And I'm like, "Trust me, whatever you're going to spend right now, even if you only use it that one time a year when
It's
there's a storm, which
yeah.
unfortunately happens to be almost every year for us now, but
Yeah.
one time a year, it's worth it. And it's worth it because obviously it does add comfort and it does protect your food. But even just internally, it's good for the soul to
It
run a
is.
generator every
It
now and then.
is. It's good to run a generator just to make sure it still works. You know what I mean? When
Yes,
you like go out there for like it's been sitting for like 3 to 6 months and you go out there and you're like, we'll see if she rips
bro.
up. And just right first try and you just sit back, hands on your hips. Oh yeah,
Dude, I
that's
and
gonna
then
work. That's
I'll
gonna be
plug me a
nice.
fan in. I'll let the fan run for a little bit.
Yeah.
But Katie will be like, "Why is the fan running? Why is the generator running?" And I'm like, "I'm running the fan." She's like, "Why are you running the fan?" I'm like, "So it'll run the generator." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need one for the other. You got to put a load on it, or I mean, even though a fan's not going to load it up, but yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's just one of those pieces of equipment that it's not as satisfying as some of the other equipment, but like it's just fresh on my mind because what it's killer. It generates power, and people
Yeah.
bitch about people are like, oh, they're so loud or they're whatever. Like I don't give a shit if carbon monoxide was not an issue.
I'd put it right next to
I
my
would
bed.
I'd put it right in the fucking living room. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't care at all because you know what's better than 100-degree weather inside your house with rotting food is, I don't know, a little bit of noise. I will put
Yeah.
earplugs in. I don't give a shit.
Also, I listen, you can that's like
It's like a grown man sound machine.
yes, that's what I was going to say. It's a grown man
Yeah.
sound machine cuz like there's almost no better sound on the planet for a man to hear than a running engine like that. And like whenever it's right outside your window, it's just go 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 go, dude. Oh my god, some of the
It's
best sleep I'll get if I'm being honest with you.
I get it. There's two exclusions to this. Or not exclusions. There's one exclusion. I also like when it loads up, like for if something kicks on, say a
Oh
couple
yeah.
of couple of yeah, if somebody runs a microwave or something. Wow,
Yeah.
that'll shut one down. Anyways, but the hearing it load up and then go back to where it was running, you're like, oh yeah, she's
Yeah.
pulling. You know what I mean? That's nice. And
Yeah.
then the second thing is if it does overload, how depressing is that feeling?
Yeah. When you can hear it overload and then shut off.
Yeah, and you're like, shit. And
And
then so because
especially
what happened?
especially because you can hear it overload and you're like, oh shit, and you stop what you're doing, but it's not in time. It, like the damage is
Yeah.
already done, you know?
Well, that's what I was gonna say, and that's if you're doing something like, but you hear it shut
Yeah.
down, you're like, oh shit, it overloaded, and then immediately in your brain, you're like, what series of events do I need to prevent from happening again
Yeah.
that originally is what made it overload?
Yeah.
And that's not an equation that a man wants to go through in his mind because
Mm-mm.
it can you can really weigh on you because you're like, I wasn't doing anything, I was just sitting here, but then you're like, somewhere else in the house, something happened. Was
Yeah.
it the fact that the AC was on, the fan was on, we had a light going, we had this back stuff going on, and both compressors from the fridge and the freezer kicked on at the same time? Or was
Yeah.
it some other anomaly? I'll never know.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened to ours is it was going fine. Nothing weird. We did nothing different inside, but I think the heat got to it and it just,
Oh yeah.
the electronics on it kind of shut down. But then 4 hours later we got power back, so thank God. But
Yeah, because that's the thing too. Like by day four, like and that sucker's been running. I mean, give or take. I mean, there's some people shut them down or whatever, but like for like 4 days, that sucker's been running wide open. You've just been refilling it. Like I don't care what it. Look, it's not a power plant. It gets hot. It
yeah,
needs a
no.
break.
Yeah, you can't expect a human to get on a treadmill and just run for 5 days. You
No,
know, you
I
gotta
mean,
it, you want to get the heart rate pumping, but you can't kill it. You know what I mean?
for sure.
And, I'm not saying it's got feelings, but it's definitely got a heartbeat.
Oh
You
well,
know?
I do feel bad for it afterwards. Also, mine is very, very nice, but it's Frankenstein because they don't make parts for it anymore. So like I have like a carburetor off of a different version and a pull cord off of a different version and a battery
See,
that's zip tied to the bottom of. But
this is what
dude,
I'm talking about, though. It's just such a fun experience for a man.
bro, and here's the thing: it looks ugly. It's all a bunch of different colors. Pull ropes from Honda, so it's red. The generator's blue. The carburetor's green. The battery, like I said, doesn't fit in the hole, so it's zip tied in. But
Yeah.
dude, when I reach over and hit that key,
And she starts right up. Oh yeah.
starts right up.
Yeah. I guess I should say it's just something fun for like a motorhead, someone that likes fixing things and
Well,
getting things going.
the funny part too is I don't care. It seems to me, especially in this storm, and then we can get off of the whole hurricane, but it seems to me that this storm, compared to others, which all there's always going to be flaws in a generator, but every single person, whether it had 2 hours on it, whether it had 500 hours on it, every single person had to either work on it at the beginning, knowing the
Mhm.
storm was coming, or had to work on them during the storm because of a failure of sorts. Luckily, I didn't. I was very thankful I did not. But this is the first
Yeah.
time that I didn't because I'd already Frankensteined everything together and I was ready. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, you had already done all the work.
But yeah, anyone who knows a generator also knows a thing or two about a generator because that's just they're peas in a pod.
Yeah, they all do the same thing. They're all built the same. Um,
Yeah,
One thing I've been wanting to talk about for a while now is you mentioned earlier that, you got your roofers that get out there, your landscapers and your lawn people, right? And
yeah.
my whole life, and this kind of ties into the generator thing, because like you love hearing a generator go. But my whole life, one of the most satisfying things for me to do was to mow. I love mowing the lawn, or like we used to take care of some properties back when we were younger, and I just love the satisfaction of going in and it's all high, and it looks bad, and you go in and you're line by line just clearing this out, man. It's so satisfying, right? But only when you want to do it, not
Well,
when you have to do it.
I go back because you've posed this premise before, and I go back and forth. I feel like I agree with you. I do, but there were times when like I never dread it once I get going. Let me
No, no,
say
no,
that
no.
first
Yeah,
first
no,
and foremost.
definitely not.
Even if you absolutely dreaded getting started, I never disliked it once I was going. You know what I
No,
mean?
one strip in, I was in a different world already.
Exactly. Number two, is and I also would rather, I know this sounds stupid, but like when it's my house and I'm like, ah, I gotta cut the grass. I'm still okay once I start. I actually cut the grass today. Um,
Uh,
it's it's rough to get like started, but also but like it's a lot more painful if I'm just doing mine. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe it's just because we come from cutting grass, but like back in the day when I knew I was going to be doing it all day and it was like early in the morning and you're like, oh,
yeah.
the first one's going to suck and it's miserable. And then you knock the first one out and like the rest of the day is kind of downhill. It's not that big of a deal.
Mm-mm.
But I'd much rather do it all day long than I would just like have a normal day doing something else and then cut grass or vice versa. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know why? Because you have to shower after either way. You have to,
Yeah, I know.
right? And if
You
you're
might
gonna
as well
do
make
it
it worth
all,
your while.
yeah, if you're gonna do it all day, it's worth it. But like if you're gonna wake
Yeah.
up and in your case, you don't have like a massive yard, so like you're gonna
No,
be
like
out there,
45 minutes,
yeah,
I'm
you're gonna
done.
be out there for like an hour to do everything, and then you gotta hop in the shower in the morning or whenever you cut it, and then kind of start your day over.
Yeah, I also I sorry, I cut you off.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I love I like I said, that first one was getting up in the morning sucked and it always was tough that first one. But when you pulled up and you offloaded and you started them up,
Oh yeah, it's the
and
feeling, man. It's that
it
feeling.
is you started it up and even with a lawnmower it's different, right? Well, with like big lawn commercial lawnmowers
Yeah.
because you start it up and the motor runs, but also your mood changes when you engage that PTO.
Oh
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
When you actually turn those blades on, that's when you're like, oh, it's game time.
Yeah, it's kind of like a lock in. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people, they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I got to lock in," right? Like athletes, they get to a game and they're like they're getting ready for the game and they're throwing their headphones in and they're locking in. And
Yeah.
that's what you do when you mow the lawn. You get up, you kind of get your New Balances on, your high socks or your pants, whatever you decide to do. You throw your earbuds in, throw some music on, you're locking in. But once you engage those blades, it's kind of like a different it's you kind of get put into a different world because it's like you really do have a lot of power, you really do.
You do. And I agree with you on because I think you and I have talked about this. What would you rather mow or weed eat?
Mm, oh man, it depends. If I have a lot to mow, I would rather mow if it's like a large
Okay.
area. But I think overall, I like the satisfaction of weed eating
Okay, so that's the
if
thing.
if I'm lining. Like if I'm edging
Oh,
some concrete, you know? I love
I
because I
kind
love that look. I love the way it looks.
me too, but I kind of find pleasure in any weed eating. I mean, obviously you can really make something look real clean and neat when you're edging, but I think
Yeah.
all weed eating is necessary, either with a very well manicured lawn or like a very like neat St. Augustine where you can get real tight, perfect carpet,
Yeah.
or you can get really decent edging. But even in area like when we would cut some of like the outlying lawns, they would have like bahia and other like mixes of hay, and so they would grow up kind of high, and weed eating helps everywhere with that because there's nothing worse than seeing a pasture or seeing a big field and there's like a hole or a rock in the middle of it and it's a sore spot if there's grass that's around it that you couldn't get to with a mower. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I agree with you. I really love the lines and the neatness and the back and forth, but like both mentally and just like overall, I feel like weed eating really is my like when you say mowing in the sense of like machine and running this and neatness and lines and what you like when you initially start out not to like it, that's weed eating for me. I would always much rather weed eat because it ties the whole picture in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I can get behind that. I can get behind that because even like there was times when we used to take care of a massive cemetery, right?
Yeah.
And there was times where I would go in and pre-weed eat first, around all the headstones and the fences and whatnot. And that kind of almost was more satisfying because you're cutting in those lines of through all that thick, high stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is kind of nice. I will agree with
I
that.
I would also do, and I don't know if it was maybe because we did, I don't know, but I would also go sometimes, like if I had just enough time left in the day before I was going to go cut it,
Hmm.
like say I was going to cut it on a Friday or I was going to cut it on a Saturday, I would go the day before, if I had enough time, daylight in the day, and I would weed eat as much as I could. So the next day you just got there, you mowed, you rolled out. It was like an easier morning. It made getting up and starting the next morning a lot easier.
A lot easier knowing you didn't have to do so much. I'll tell you what else
Yeah.
too, and I don't think a lot of people will understand this because not a lot of people have ditches that they really have to weed eat themselves, right?
Yeah.
But us growing up, we have how many feet of ditch do you think that we had to weed eat in our life? Well,
Ah,
not in our
man,
lifetime, but like, in one go.
that little stretch, I mean, dude, I'd say that's easily,
I mean, it's got to be a bit.
oh, dude, I mean, I would imagine 600, maybe 500.
Yeah, I
No, maybe
was
less than that. About 500.
probably close, like 500 feet.
Yeah, yeah. If you
Yeah,
if you count making the make well where we
making the
should
turn. Yeah,
making the turn, yeah.
yeah, because we were on a corner. But that I think, yeah, like out at our house, man, there's no better feeling than finishing that last strip of the ditch with the weed eater
Yes.
and turning it off and just taking a step back and looking at how
Yep.
clean and flush it looks and walking back up the driveway, with that weed eater with that weed eater off.
Yeah, throwing it over your shoulder and making the hike back. The other thing too is like it was always it took a long time. It was a bunch of work. It was always hot. Like,
Oh yeah.
the time she had to do it in the summer sucked.
Oh, horrible.
Um, but it really made everything look so much cleaner.
It
Even though we would
does.
let them get high, we would let them get high before we'd cut them, obviously. But it would just everything would look so much cleaner.
Oh yeah, so much, so much. It's also more of an art, you know? Anyone can
Yeah.
mow, but not everyone can weed eat. You got to kind of be taught to weed eat. Otherwise, you're going to dig too deep or you're going to rip too much string off. There's a lot going on in that aspect of it.
And just the things that you could do with it, I'm telling you, is what's crazy. I mean, you
Mm,
can really clean some stuff up.
yeah, that's a good point. That is a very good point.
It's similar to I mean, so obviously in the summer, well, yeah, we cut a lot of grass in the summer. But dude, that summer pressure washing was the shit
See, and
because you get a very,
yeah, a lot of people well, maybe not that I know, but like I see a lot of people that are like, ugh, I got to power wash again. And I never one time in my life felt like that. Like there
so
was times where my dad would be like, hey, we got to power wash this house. And I'd be like, sweet, what freaking time? What day, what time? Because power washing to me, it's exhausting. It's tiring. It's
yeah,
not necessarily like fun on your body, but it's always hot when you're doing it, and the water that you're spraying, it keeps you cool the whole time. You just show up in a freaking bathing suit and maybe a shirt, and you spend your whole day spraying water everywhere and making things look incredible. It's awesome. I love it.
no, it is for sure. But I would also say that like I get more okay, like when you weed eat or when you blow. I never feel unsatisfied. There's not a part of weed eating where I'm just like, "Ugh, man, I hate this part," or mowing that I hate this part. Like, yeah, there's certain lawns where you're like, ah, the back's gonna be a bitch, or this is gonna suck, or whatever. But
Yeah.
it's not like overwhelming. I love pressure washing because yeah, you're right. It's cool. It's first off, it's cool out. It's not super it depending on where you're doing it, higher stuff with an extension gets very miserably
Yeah, that
tiring.
does
But we're
get
talking
tough.
like working down flat ground type stuff. It's very rewarding if visually, but I hate rinsing. You
Really?
know what I'm talking
Like
about?
rinsing all the
Yeah, dude.
dirt off the
Yes.
sidewalk and stuff?
Yes, because in my mind I know like it's physically clean because you've already like worked it out of the heavy stuff,
Mm.
but clearing it away becomes difficult sometimes. Or hey, dude, we've all had it. That one part of like the pool deck, or that one part of the swimming pool, or the one part of the sidewalk where like it's not level, and so water
There's
collects there, and you
yeah,
have to use water to get it out of there, and it's just a bitch. Like those little
yeah.
frustrating things, I don't experience. I don't. It's not anxiety, I wouldn't say, but it's just a an annoyance or a frustration with rinsing. Um, and also the other thing that's terrible is like when you get pretty much done picking up equipment, you're like going back to the truck, and then you're like, oh fuck, I didn't rinse that, and it's pretty obvious you didn't rinse it. You know what I mean? So you got to set your shit
Yeah.
back up. Yeah,
I was
those are my
see.
only
I
frustrations.
was gonna say that for me, probably the worst part of power washing is picking up and rolling the
Yeah,
hoses back up, getting everything loaded back up. Because like, I mean, like you were saying, with when you're mowing, right? You mow, you weed eat, you blow the grass off the driveways and whatnot. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Or you blow and pick it all up, whatever you're gonna do. But like, you don't have to roll a hose up and carry a freaking. Those hoses are heavy, man.
They are the real high industrial, high pressure hoses do, and especially when like it's not like you're doing 20 feet of it. It's
No,
not like a residential situation. We always had like no, realistically probably 150,
probably
maybe
150.
feet or
Yeah.
more. And then the other hose, and then moving the machine, which you don't have to do
Or
nearly as frequently, but
or
moving the
getting
machine too
or
from one
or
area to the next.
or getting that hose around a corner of a home or something, or like a garage, and it just gets hung up, and you go all
Yeah.
the way back, and it's just because the hose is kinked a little bit.
Yes.
That does suck. But like the satisfaction of doing it, you know what I mean?
Oh
Like
yes,
like
100%.
like squaring off a piece of concrete and cleaning that up, and then stepping back and going, oh yeah, that's nice. I only got six more of those. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or like oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, or like expansion joint to expansion joint, you mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or but or like a really soiled you got to be careful though, but like a really soiled stucco surface or
Mm,
really soiled brick surface, like when it just
yeah.
comes clean, it's just so it is nice.
I will say doing stucco did always give me a lot of anxiety because, man, you got to be careful. You got to be so careful with stucco.
You do, and also too, depending on where you're at, access to the location. Like, dude, when you're doing like out front areas, it's like super easy to get to. But can you imagine? You know how when you be in those areas where there's like stucco wall and then like rock bed and then like flower bed, and you're
Yeah.
trying to work your way down that rock bed and you're soaking ass wet and there's all
Muddy and
there's muddy and you're trying to hold the wand away, but there's a damn bush that's growing there and you start cussing and hitting the bush and it's just yeah.
yeah, yeah, there are some
So
downsides to
again,
power washing for sure.
yeah, there are some downsides, but the actual task of doing it, or if you got to do any ladder work, that's not ever fun.
No.
Um,
But the before and
keep
after, the satisfaction. It's it,
oh 1,000%.
and I don't even want to talk about like, and this goes for mowing or power washing, like when you're getting paid to do it. That's not what I mean by having to do it. What I mean by having to do it is like when you own a home and you have to upkeep
Oh
it, you know what I
yeah,
mean? And you're
no
like,
that
you wake up and you're like, oh, I got to mow today, or I really need to power wash this weekend. But like any other day, or any other situation, like if I was like, I really need to go like mow grandpa's yard, like I would get excited for that. You know what I mean?
yes,
Because it's
and you're
something
right.
that I'm choosing to do.
I was trying to differentiate earlier, but like that hate when you do it every single day, like we used to do, with the hate in the morning getting going is drastically different than the hate of like right now at my house, which today wasn't bad because I haven't been home, and so
Mm,
I was ready for it and enjoyed it. But like there'll be times where like I'm home all week and I'll be like, oh, man, Saturday I gotta cut the
yeah,
grass,
you step
because
out and
it
you're
needs to
looking
be
at
done.
it. You're looking at it and you're
It's the
like,
same.
ugh,
It's the same way with weeding flower beds, but I'm going to be honest with you. I hate doing that so much that like the satisfaction of it being clean is not enough to,
oh yeah,
pacify me.
no, screw that,
I'm just like, let
screw,
it grow up and I'll take my fancy weed eater and just all the way to
yeah,
the ground. You
no,
know what I mean?
there's nothing worse than working in a flower bed. And I mean that for everybody. Your knees hurt, your back hurts, your hands hurt, your arms hurt, and they get all scratched. That's horrible.
Doesn't matter if it's my personal one or if it's one for work.
You could almost
Not
not
fun.
pay me enough to enjoy it. Like I
That
would
was
never
always the
enjoy it.
worst.
Yeah.
Like if we were just cutting grass or we were pressure washing or if we were doing anything else, it was like, oh, it'd be all right. Or even tree work, as long as the trees weren't in a flower bed, was fine. But flower bed work was always the worst, man.
The worst, absolute worst. All right, we need to get into WWYBDs here. Um,
Okay.
I have a feeling I kind of know what yours is going to be, roughly.
Yep.
So I'll just go ahead and go first. To me, this kind of is a little bit of like a golf beer. But I'm only having one, and I'm gonna have it right in the beginning, and then I'm gonna move on to like a Miller Lite or a Coors Light, even something more generic light beer, except for Bud Light. Um, I'm not gonna have a lot of these. Um, I didn't hate them, but I also don't love them. So yeah, definitely like an outdoors type beer, but I see golfing for sure.
I can see that because if it did live up to what was it, Barf Lemony and Arnold Palmer?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Brisk.
If it lived up to Brisk, sorry, misread that. So yeah, if it was any of those three, I could see it being something refreshing to start like an early morning round, um, or a late evening round if you were trying to get in. You know what do they call it? The
The Twilight.
like right, yeah, the twilight.
For me, it's definitely morning. Like
Okay, yeah,
I'm saying like I'm getting on the course at like 9 a.m. at the latest.
I got
You
you.
know what I mean? This
So,
is my
and
start.
it is probably more. It probably is more fitting for that, maybe because of the T slash Arnold Palmer field.
Yeah.
Um, so mine is what would I be what would you be doing? Most likely vomiting. That was
Yeah. I figured that you were gonna say probably over a toilet somewhere or over a
and
trash
then
can.
I put in parentheses or more appropriately deceased.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
I just don't know
All right.
if I would indulge in this. Again, I don't want to run it too hard, but like it will be a fridge sitter until you try it when you come back over. I will not recommend to anyone else, and I will not be repurchasing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's horrible. I would. I get well here. Let me get into the ratings first before I get into that.
Okay.
But um, so I've never had a sour mixed with a tea before, so I'm trying to
Mhm.
go on
Probably a
what I.
reason for that, obviously.
Yeah, I mean
But go
maybe,
ahead.
but I'm trying to go based on like what I feel like I would experience, like what I would experience with a sour and a tea mix. Um, Entry I have a 3, aftertaste I have a 4. Um, I mean, both of those could go down one. I don't think it's great, but I do think the aftertaste is better, but that's because I love tea. Body, I have a 2. I don't think it works very well. I don't think it should be recreated. That could also probably go down one. Color, I have it a 3. I was gonna put that lower, but I thought about it and I was like, well, if it's mixed with tea, it should probably be that dark. I didn't.
Yeah.
Originally I didn't think it should be that dark. But I do feel like there could be some improvement still. Bitterness, I have it a 5. I think it's pretty much right on spot, bitterness wise for me. Acidity, I have a 4 as well. I mean, it's acidic enough as a sour in the beginning, and then it kind of fades off into a nice tea aftertaste, so it's not so acidic at the end, and I think it's pretty good. And fizz, I have it a 4. The burps started quick for me. They kind of stayed until around minute 50 of the episode or so. So my total is a 25, but it could be around like a 20 or 21. Um, it's not a I will finish my third one. Um, Probably soon. I mean, if I go somewhere where I'm outside, I will finish it.
Would you like to finish these two as well?
I
No?
mean, man,
Okay.
dude, I really need to try what happened with yours because I don't understand. Um, I wouldn't get again. It's not something that I would seek out for sure. I might try it on draft if I went there. Maybe it'll be a little bit better. Who knows? But yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and say go out and seek it. If it sounds like something you're interested in, I didn't have a horrible experience like Stefan did. I So I'm not gonna steer you away from it, but I'm also not gonna steer you towards it type thing.
Um, obviously it goes without saying that like I don't I went honest. Like I don't I'm not gonna say oh 0 across the board. I do think that some of mine are limited because of just my experience.
Yeah.
So it's not a 0 all the way across the board. There's some features that like I'll give it credit for that I think are okay. So entry, I entry I have a 1. Aftertaste I have a 0. In that category, like that overshadows the rest. Like it is fucking terrible. I just cannot do the taste of it. Body wise too, because it does have like a very odd profile to it. I have a 2. But color, I give it a 3. I think it's got a decent color if you're looking at it from it. I tell you what, it looks a lot better than it tastes. So there's that. Bitterness, I have at a 3. Acidity, I have at a 3. I think it's right where it should be for a sour that has a tea backer. And then fizz, I have it at a 3 only because like I didn't experience enough of it to give me a burp, so I can't say that it was terrible. So my total comes to a 15.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really interested to see what happened. I'm gonna try to do a little bit of R&D and go and taste the last one you have and come back. And if I can remember next episode, we'll maybe do a roundabout and see what
Yeah,
happened in this case.
and I'm hoping that that's the case. That like maybe it was just a flawed
Yeah.
situation, but also I'm hoping. I mean, it's disappointing because I think it's going to be hard to go back and experience because it'd be tough to go back and try to experience it again. But also, if I am in fact correct, then it is going to confirm some things about my taste bud. So,
Yeah, there we go. All right, well, we have gotten to that point in the podcast where I'm going to tell you to go follow us on social media on Twitter and TikTok at Off the Tap Pod, and on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Off the Tap Podcast.
this might come off as a little harsh, but next time that buddy's like, "Oh, dude, come on, give it a shot. It can't be that bad." It could be.